For this challenge, you need to make a clock that has a nature theme and it needs to roll.
Roll. I'll figure it out. Nature clock. Let's not overdo this too much. Let's say background, solid, and let's pick like a wall color. Something like a pale yellow maybe? We're also gonna need a shape layer, the ellipse tool, and as always, we're gonna want to turn that into a circle by unlinking the properties and then making them match. If we wanna go nature themed, we've got a couple options. You can use a photo that you've taken yourself, just put it in there, although I don't know how good that'll look. Let's take a look at some clip art. We're gonna go to openclipart.org. And so what we've got here is one of my favorite places on the internet. This is all open source clip art, free to use for whatever purpose. And at least that's what they claim. I have never gotten in trouble for it, so I think it's pretty solid. I've been doing this stuff for a long time. And so we're gonna look and see what kind of clip art or backgrounds or whatever that they've got. I've got an idea of how I might want this to go. I was thinking something like leaves. This is a little too much for a clock, I think. Oh, I could just do a flower. A flower with 12 petals, that could be cool. And that, I don't even need clip art for that. Yay, inspiration. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna shrink this thing down. I'm gonna unlink the properties and I wanna make it skinny because I want it to seem like a flower petal, all right? Something like this. And then I'm gonna add a repeater to this. I love repeaters. It defaults to a horizontal shift, but if you actually open this, I'm gonna make sure there are 12 copies. And then instead of a horizontal shift, I'm gonna set that to 0. I'm gonna change the rotation for every repeated object. In this case, I want it to go around 360 degrees, and so that'll be 360 divided by 12. Boom. It's a little too filled in for my liking, so let's make the petals skinnier. Shift them out just a smidge like this. Yeah.
That's looking really good.
So these are the petals. I'm gonna need the center of this thing right here to have like the pollen or whatever. I don't know what the part of that flower is called. What's the part of that flower called?
I didn't get to take plant anatomy when I was in grad school.
So yeah, maybe we'll go with the purple petals and the yellow center. That might be nice. All right, and so then I'm gonna want some texture on this flower center. I'm gonna need to make it a little bumpy so it looks like it's got the, the typical flower center things. Turbulent noise. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put that on the flower center. It's gonna get rid of my colors for a second, but if I do a blending mode, I can go add, and then I can increase the contrast, and then make the scale a little smaller. Maybe we need to put a little more detail on the petals. Now what we're gonna need is we're gonna need clock hands and clock numbers. Let's go with the numbers first. Text, I'm gonna put it right here in the middle for a second. 12. With an application like this, I'm gonna want the center of the text layer to be at the center of the actual characters. I have a preset that I've made for this because I do this so much that it's just annoying to have to type it every time, but I'll explain it when I put it in. So center text anchor. So we do that, and what we end up with is a center of the layer that is in the center of the number there. What I have here is an expression on the anchor point for transform. I'm taking advantage of this thing called sourceRectAtTime. This is the source rectangle. Essentially, it's the rectangle around the text. So if you type more into the text box, that box is gonna get larger, and the sourceRectAtTime will update accordingly. I've labeled that as an R, and then I can start referring to parts or properties of that expression. And so what we have here is R left, which just means that it is the far left end of the box, so all the way over here. And then R top is the very, very top of the box, so somewhere up there. And so each of these also has a width, so that's from the far left side to the far right side, and a height, which is from the far top to the far bottom. When I do that and I cut those in half, I get exactly the center of the box. And so really nice for, such simple code into the expression box. But we're gonna want this to be black, and that is definitely not the font we want. Ooh, that's very clocky. So I'm gonna go in here into position and go animation and then add expression, or you can just do Alt-Shift equals if you like your keyboard shortcuts. I'm more of a mouse kind of guy. What this does is defaults to the expression that basically describes what it is already, the transform.position. But we're gonna go ahead and change this. We're gonna wanna put it at the top of the clock, right? That's where the 12 goes. The first thing I'm gonna want is the number. And so what I wanna say is clock number equals, you didn't know you were gonna get a coding lesson today, did you? Clock number equals thisLayer.name. And typically the name defaults to the actual text you have in there. But if for whatever reason it hasn't, you can grab this pick whip here and drag it up to sourceText, and it'll put that there instead of thisLayer.name. Now this is going to be a string value, which is characters. And because we're gonna be doing calculations with it, we're gonna want this to be a number. Sometimes After Effects can kind of figure it out that it's a number, but let's not take any chances. So we're gonna say parse. We're gonna wanna parse this as an integer, something like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a semicolon at the end to represent the end of the line. All right, so clock number equals parse integer, this text. And so it's gonna take the text that I've typed into the text box, which in this case is 12, and it's going to parse that or turn that into an integer. So it will now be a number that we can then move things around. In order for that to go up, well, let's think about this. We're gonna wanna do this in number order. And so 1 starts 1/12 of a 360-degree turn around. Okay. We're gonna run into a minor problem here. I've calculated this angle in degrees, and sine and cosine like things to be in radians. You remember that from high school math? So we're gonna come in here and hit this play button next to position, and this gives you a whole menu full of expressions. So you don't necessarily have to know what they all are, right? You can say global ones, and it's got this comp and time and so on. And so you can just look in here and reference it if you want. The one we're looking for is other math. And this other math, for whatever reason, includes degrees to radians and radians to degrees. It includes angle conversions in it. And so we're gonna convert degrees to radians, and I'm gonna make sure that my angle is inside of that. And so now it is in radians. Should go up there. I'm gonna make it maybe a smidge smaller. Yeah, there we go. Put it right about there. And so then if I actually change this source text to 1, it should move, and it does. Look at that, it moves. I'm gonna make some copies of this layer, but before I do that, I'm gonna actually link the source text to the name of the layer. It's gonna make it much easier for positioning. So I'm also gonna go in here, add expression. It's a big expression day today. And I'm gonna say thisLayer.name. And so it should be 1. And now when I make a copy, it's gonna change the name of it to 2, but it should also change the number to a 2. So here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that should save you a ton of time typing in all the numbers. Now, I'm not a huge fan of how the pedals are behind the numbers.
For those of you that want to speed up time to see our videos, they're always posted a week in advance on Nebula. Use our link in the description to check it out.
What just happened? What just happened? What happened to my numbers? What a weird glitch. Now we just need arms on the clock.
I just looked it up. The hour hand should be about 2/3 to 3/4 the length.
course, minutes and second hands are linked. Typically in a clock, it's with gears, but we're gonna link them together here in the coding of the animation as well. And so we're gonna open up the effects down here in the timeline so we have a little more controls. The effects panel doesn't give you everything. And so I am going to link the minute hand to the hour hand. And I'm gonna say that it should be the hour time times 60. Because for every hour, the minute hand should go around 60 times, right? And so then we're gonna link the hour hand's rotation to the hour marker. Just to kind of give it a finishing touch, let's say drop shadow. And so we have a nature clock. What was the action again?
Something has to roll.
To roll. You know what? Let's just do this. So we've got a clock, nature, and it rolls. It's so stupid. I love it so much. It may not be the most creative solution, but it gets the job done. Yeah. So let me know what you think. Let us know what we should animate next, and thanks for watching.